Hey everybody, this is Kenny here from Triple Threat Wrestling Radio, and this is for all the fans out there that are gearing up for the Girlfight events that is coming up this coming Saturday, actually this coming Sunday and this coming Tuesday. And joining me at this time is in for quite a busy weekend this coming Sunday at Franklin, Ohio. She's going up against her Sugar and Spice teammate Taylor Hendricks. And then 48 hours after that, she'll be at Jefferson, Indiana to take on fellow Ohio wrestler Kayla. I'm joined with Miss Mary Elizabeth Monroe. I thought I'd just
Hello, Kenny.
I thought I'd add a little British accent to introduce your name like that, you know.
Makes it sound fancy.
How's it going, Mary?
It's going well. I'm glad to be back on. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. The last time you was on, it was live, and it was on the anniversary show this past April. And a lot has happened since then. And as always, you are always one of the reliable people that I can always count on as far as these interview things. So I truly appreciate you being a Facebook message away for doing this, whether it's live or pre-recorded. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. I mean, this is maybe the fifth time, something like that, over the years.
We're going to go with 6 times. We're going to go with 6.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you surpassed Casey Carlisle's the most called-in guests ever. So
Whoa.
I don't know if that's something you should add to your accomplishments and with your championships, with your WWE appearance and things like that. But you know, I guess it's something to think about, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad that you have me back and that people keep wanting to listen.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead talk Girlfight, shall we? Girlfight is pretty much one of the most anticipated woman wrestling show in the tri-state area in Ohio and Indiana and Kentucky. They mostly do their shows in Ohio and Indiana, and I first heard of the Girlfight because of a certain friend who's also a fan of yours by the name of Andrew. I think he was at the last Indiana show about a month or two ago. So I said to Andrew, next time they come to Indiana, I want in. I want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and considering that Kentucky don't necessarily have women wrestling that much, or don't highlight that much like they used to, you know, this, I guess I have to start getting out Kentucky and see what else is out there. So I'm excited about.
Yes, you do.
So I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. Let's go ahead and focus on this coming Sunday event in Franklin, Ohio. You're going up against a teammate of yours for Sugar and Spice, Miss Taylor Hendricks.
Yes.
And before we talk about the match itself, what I want to know, how did this Sugar and Spice duo came about? Was it a promoter's idea, or did y'all two gals just say, let's make this happen?
You know, I think the name itself first came up because I had a match last October for Absolute Intense Wrestling in Cleveland, Ohio at their Girls Night Out, and I was scheduled to face Taylor Hendricks. So I had sort of dubbed the match Sugar and Spice, and that was kind of how I was talking about how that matchup was going to be. So then a few months later, there was a 6-person tag situation that was, again, on one of those AIW shows that was a Girls Night Out match. And due to an injury, there was an opening on one of the teams. Well, it happened to be actually the team of Taylor Hendricks and Marty Bell. So I was just sort of the fill in there, even though, I would have been more likely to be an opponent, for those two. I just ended up kind of getting teamed up with them. So after that, it was just interesting to me, and I think to Taylor, that sort of odd couple dynamic, because we've enjoyed working as opponents, but then as teammates, we're still a little bit in opposition, because we obviously have different personalities and different philosophies. So it sort of was born out of that, and she and I both liked it, and both of us asked for it to be able to continue, and asked for opportunities to keep doing that. So AIW then had their Battle of the Sexes show in August of this year, and teamed us up again. And it's just always fun, because she and I are so opposite in a lot of ways that you kind of never know what's going to happen. And there's this sometimes we can get it together and work together, sometimes we are not on the same page. So I think the fans really just have a lot of fun kind of seeing what's going to happen, and when's it going to come together and when's it going to fall apart. It's kind of anyone's guess.
Well, let me just say that as a spectator, I'm very intrigued with this team. As you point out, y'all two are different personalities. So obviously, and it's always good when you have a tag team, male or female, two different backgrounds or two different, impressions and things. One handle things different than the other. And so far, the fans have been very pleased with this pairing that is Sugar and Spice. And as a fan, I look forward to many more as y'all go forward. Despite that, y'all two have to face each other this Sunday in Franklin, Ohio. And even though you ladies are a team, y'all have to face each other. And there's always that competitive side to things, like who's the best out of the two. And people that will be able to attend will find out for sure this Sunday, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because, like you said, we are very competitive, and even when we team together, we're very competitive. So there have been instances where I will kind of be on offense, and I'll be cleaning house, and then she'll want to come in and make the pin, or she'll want to come in and hit one of her moves. And it's the way it's been described to me from people watching is kind of like, okay, well, Mary does all the heavy lifting and does all the hard work, and then Taylor comes in, to try to make the pin. And which, may be a correct assessment. And there's that kind of competition when we're teaming. I think her philosophy is, well, as long as we win, we win. But as far as now being opponents, I think it'll be really interesting, because having been an opponent of hers in the past gives me a little bit of an idea of kind of what her mindset is. But being in the ring as a tag partner and being side by side with her gives me even a better insight into what her approach would be. So I think it could help me now to be an opponent against her, to use that insight. But at the same time, she also has that same advantage. She has better insight into me. So I'm very curious to see what will happen.
So it's going to be at Franklin, Ohio this coming Sunday. You can go to the Girlfight Wrestling page for all the details for where it's going to be taking place and the time, bell times and stuff like that. And it's not often that you get a lot of talented female wrestlers in a tri-state, but only Girlfight Wrestling can make it happen. You got Marty Bell, who's just became a late addition, filling in for Heidi Lovelace. You got Heather Owens. You got Amazing Maria. You got, the list goes on and on and on. And I go back to the competitive side of things, and although there's a lot of talented ladies in the Sunday card and the Tuesday card, and you friends with majority of them, and you wish them well, have you ever go to a match one to, I want to have the best match of the night, regardless of who I go up against? Has that ever crossed your mind when you prepare for these matches?
I always want to have the best match of the night. It's the last couple of Girlfight shows, I've actually had the honor of being the opening match, which is great because I have the opportunity to set the tone for the entire night and just really, be the first thing that the audience gets to see and get excited about. So no matter where I am in the card, I just want to do my best and give the audience the best show that I can. So, and we all want the people to leave remembering us and remembering our match. So it's pretty fun because we've got a lot of really great, talented girls. So we all have to step it up, and being competitive really elevates the game for everybody. So I think that every single girl there is really going to, pull out of the stops. And, I think there'll be a lot of surprises and some really exciting moments.
You mentioned, kicking off the show and all. And what I want to ask you is, do you think there's more pressure to be the opening match, as you say, set the tone? Or do you think there's more pressure being the main event, as in you want to end the event on a high note?
I think that there's pressure for every match, honestly, because if I'm a match in the middle or toward the end of the show and the girls are, kicking butt and they're doing great and they've got the crowd just having a great time, then I have to step up and I have to take that a step further. So there's definitely a lot of pressure there. You have to leave people on a really high note, but at the same time, if I'm earlier in the night, then I've got to start the energy and keep that going and get that momentum going for the matches for the rest of the night. So there's really nowhere in the card where there's not pressure to impress and to make sure the crowd is happy. There may be different ways to do that depending on what match. So some matches may be more about just kind of creating the moments and the interaction with the crowd, but still keeping them engaged. And then some matches may be more about the high impact, but every match is going to be different anyway because every athlete is different and every combination of athletes is different. So no matter what it is that everybody brings to the table and that each combination brings out of those athletes, there's got to be something that grabs the audience.
It's definitely a pressure cooker, regardless of where you are on the card. You definitely want to make sure the crowd's into it. Just give them, the best product that's possible, and that fans are going to react regardless. But as long as you put out your best effort, then that's all that matters. I've always enjoyed a Mary Elizabeth Monroe match, personally. I know from experience, I've seen your UWF. Like one of my favorite matches with yours is the series of matches you had with Jessie Belle Smothers. Like every time y'all two face each other, it's always, we know what to expect. Like y'all two gonna bring it, regardless of which character y'all two portray as. Y'all always bring it. And for the most part, and maybe I'm being biased, but you and Jessie Tina have one of the better matches of the night. So it's just step your game up, step your A game up, things like that. And I'm just very intrigued, and I see. And I consider you one of the top female wrestlers out there right now, indie or pro.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I truly believe that for a fact. That when you have Mary Elizabeth Monroe on your card, you're gonna expect the best, regardless of who she faces, male or female, because you face both sides over the course of your career. Which brings me to this coming Tuesday Girlfight event, the one I will be attending. It's the first wrestling show at Indiana that I'm going to, and you haven't
Crossing
met.
the river.
So yeah, I'm starting to evolve a bit, stepping outside of the bluegrass for a moment, and you're going up against a fellow Ohio girl and Kayla, who's starting to make a name for herself in the tri-state area, in Ohio, as a matter of fact. Talk about your thoughts about this matchup coming up this Tuesday.
Well, I have now faced Kayla, I think, 3 times. Once in Ohio a little over a year ago, then last year in Indiana, and then once more recently in Tennessee. So she has been really working hard, and I've been seeing this evolution firsthand because I've had these encounters, spread over this amount of time. And she's in a really interesting situation because I've been in the wrestling business many years longer than she has. In fact, the number of years that I've been in the wrestling business is half of her life. But she has that to overcome in a way because now she's looked at as, okay, you're new, you only got a couple of years under your belt, but she has that to fight against and to push against. So she's definitely somebody to take seriously because she is, trying to climb up through the ranks and make an impression and make a name for herself. And, she's got that kind of fire in her. So, I think she's just better every time I work with her. And I'm really excited to see, kind of what she's got because I love a challenge and I love an opportunity to push myself. So I think that she'll be able to do that.
I'm definitely looking forward to that match. And then you got a majority of the girls that's on the Sunday show are going to be at Tuesday. Crazy Mary Dobson and Sage Sin on the main event. You got Amazing Maria. You got Heather Owens, Kimberly, Leah Von Dutch, all the way from Canada is going to come through as well. So, if you could be in Ohio, you could be in Indiana, or, based on your bank account, be at both shows, depending on where you may be, you're going to be very pleased with with both shows. And I'm looking forward to the show coming up on Tuesday. I'm very excited. And you mentioned evolution. I want to get to another form of illusion, as in the Divas Revolution, which has catching a lot of buzz for the last several months. And I've talked to majority of women wrestlers since then, and they've had high reviews over it. Have you had a chance to see what the WWE has done with the Divas division recently? And if so, what are your thoughts?
I've seen a little bit. I think that it's very promising because I actually know a lot of the girls who are at NXT right now. And so I know what those girls have to offer, and I know how hard they've worked and how hard they do work. And obviously, with Sarah training the women down there, I know her, and I know her attitude and her passion, and that can only be good when you bring all of those elements together. And my hope is that all of that will start to rise and sort of trickle up to the main roster. I have heard some people say that they don't think it matters what the women are capable of if they're not given the opportunity to do it, and that's true. So I just hope that they are given the opportunity to really do what they're capable of. But I mean, no matter what, and no matter which show people are seeing these women on, people are seeing and are aware and are talking about it. So it's giving the rest of us women sort of a platform where people are starting to, I think, take us more seriously. Some people who hadn't before and maybe hadn't given women's wrestling a fair chance, maybe because of their experience with a certain match or a certain wrestler or whatever. But there are a lot of women out there who work hard and love the business and love what they do and have a lot to offer. So, I mean, no matter what, I think that it's a good thing, and it's bringing women's wrestling to the forefront. You're seeing more companies and more promotions that are putting on all women's events, and they're not just using women as filler, just as a warm body. They are putting on top to bottom matches for the entire show that are great, hardworking, passionate women. So, and that's why I love Girlfight, because they really are careful about, making sure that all the women that are there are girls that want to be there and want to compete with each other and have that friendly competition and want to be the best and, push themselves and push each other in a positive way. So I'm already excited about doing some more Girlfight shows. The one on Sunday in Franklin is kind of a big show for me, just because I very rarely work any shows in the Cincinnati, Dayton area. So it'll be one of the rare times that the people in kind of my hometown area will get a chance to actually see me live. So that's kind of a really cool opportunity for some of my local fans that just don't get that chance a lot.
That's awesome, and I concur with your comments about this revolution. It's promising. Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte have definitely made their mark, and it's promising. I watched Takeover at Brooklyn. Sasha Banks and Bayley stole the show.
I heard that.
They stole the show, and clearly NXT is very pleased with it, because on the next Takeover event, October 7th, they're going to face each other one more time for the women's title. And not only that, Mary, it's going to be the main event. That's the first time ever that a women's match is on the main event in the Takeover series.
That's really exciting, really a big deal.
So, and I know Bayley from interviewing her when she was Davina Rose in the Indies. She wrestled in the West Coast area. She wrestled Sarah Del Rey, who's now her trainer in NXT, and that was a proud moment to see her win that women's title at Brooklyn. That was a proud moment to see. And let's go ahead and get to these pro wrestling tees. You launched recently, and you got a plethora of T-shirts. So how do you feel having this T-shirt store up and running with pro wrestling tees?
Well, I worked really hard to get that T-shirt store going, and right now I've got 4 designs, which one of them is brand new that has only ever been available on the Pro Wrestling Tees store. One is a little bit newer that I just came out with this past year, and then 2 of them are my 2 original T-shirt designs, so it's kind of throwback, but it was a really great opportunity to be able to bring those designs back. One of the coolest things about having this Pro Wrestling Tees store is I just recently debuted in Tennessee at NWA Smoky Mountain, and there were at least 2 for sure people that I saw who had purchased my shirt on ProWrestlingTees.com because they knew I was coming down there to wrestle live, and they knew they'd get to see me. So they ordered their shirts, and they showed up ready to go. And that was really neat, getting to look out in the crowd and see my people, were already there for me. Right now I've got the 4 designs up, and I've got a lot of designs in my back pocket. I've got a great designer, Erica Morris Angel, who uses Erica is Creative as her Twitter handle for her design. She's done all of my T-shirt designs. She does an amazing job. So she's got, several kind of in the back pocket in the queue ready to go that I'm going to get up there. So anybody who hasn't been there, go check out prowrestlingtees.com/Mary Elizabeth Monroe, and there are no capital letters in that, or it won't work if you capitalize it. And then if you have seen my store, keep checking back periodically, because I will add some new designs, especially coming up here soon. I think I'm going to be getting ready to launch a few new looks. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Oh, I got my eyes on it for sure. And I've already have 2 of your shirts. One you sent me personally, the blue shirt, and the one I purchased on Pro Wrestling Tees is the Weighted G Superstar T-shirt. And I plan to wear one of those shirts this coming Tuesday. I haven't decided which one. I think because I'm more into the color blue per se, I'm probably going to lean towards with the blue shirt. So I will be wearing that. And you can go to prowrestlingtees.com. That's TEES.com. Go search Mary Elizabeth Monroe and go purchase the T-shirts, whichever you prefer. But I do want to ask a question about one particular shirt. Wayne Bros before Wayne Hoes. Please explain that T-shirt if you don't mind.
Well, this actually came from a friend and fan named, if you look him up on Twitter, he goes by Cartoon Dave, and he is like you, Kenny. He's one of those faces that kind of pop up in certain regions, and we all know and love, and kind of expect when we go to certain areas. There are certain people we expect to see every time, and so it's like when I go down around the Lexington area, I expect to see Kenny, I expect to see Andrew, and when I don't see you guys, I'm kind of like, where are you? And I'm actually surprised sometimes if I'm at a show down there and I don't see one of you. And it's the same with Dave when especially if I'm in Northern Ohio or Pittsburgh area. He's one of those guys that he tries to make it out as much as possible. Really great, supportive person, and he coined that phrase, "Rain Bros Before Rain Hoes," which is a spin-off of Bros Before Hoes. And I thought it was so clever and really a lot of fun. So he said, that it was fine if I went ahead and made that into a T-shirt. And I think he actually did come up with that in response when I was asking some people for different T-shirt ideas or phrases, and he came up with that, and I loved it, and I thought I gotta turn this into a T-shirt because it really just fit my personality, and I felt like Rain Bros is like a little bit more masculine for some of my male fans. They might not all want to be called mini me's, so it gave me sort of a name for some of my fans that was a little bit new and different.
I definitely have to agree. That is very clever. And for those who wanted to know what was that all about, well, now you know. You're only going to get that here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
That's right.
So I had to dig deep on that one. So in closing, you can follow Mary on Twitter at WrestleMEM. You can, I believe, your Instagram, the same handle as
yes, Wrestler MEM. Correct.
And she'll post upcoming events. She will post whatever ideas she have in mind for the Pro Wrestling Tee page. So if you are in the Franklin, Ohio area, that is pretty much near home, pretty much home away from home, go support her. And if you're in Jefferson, Indiana area, go check her out on Tuesday. Battle of the Ohio Girls, as I like to call it. And support your local indie wrestling companies. And, women wrestling is just only getting better. And it's just getting better for sure. So, Mary, as always, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
And,
hey, before I go, there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier kind of my evolution and the Divas Revolution and women's wrestling improving so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for one, could not have done this without my trainer, Les Thatcher. And I'm actually, unfortunately, on Tuesday, I have to miss training in order to do the Girlfight show. But normally I train with him 3 times a week. And I take part in his elite pro wrestling training through Christian Wrestling Association, and he's only been back training students for less than a year now, I think, and I've got to give Les and his assistant trainers Tarek and BJ Whitmer a lot of credit and a lot of gratitude for giving me the opportunity to really continue to improve and push myself and challenge myself. And I know a lot of times people are asking, a lot of fans, eventually may want to try to get into the wrestling business. And they, a lot of us grew up as fans. So I do want to just let them know, anyone who's listening who might be a fan, or if you're listening and you know someone who might be interested or is looking for somewhere to train, that you have got to, look up Les Thatcher, get in touch with him, go to ChristianWrestlingAssociation.com and check all that out, because it is, you just can't beat it in this area, and he's definitely one of the top active trainers that it currently has a school right now.
Shout out to Les Thatcher, and shout out to all the trainers out there that, do what they do, bring the best out of their students, and just bringing them out there to, being like a father figure or a mother figure to people like yourselves. And,
absolutely, and that is the truth. I know, Les calls myself and, his other people that he's trained were like his kids, and he looks out for us, and he really make sure that we can be the best. And I think the more I've gotten comments where people have started to notice the difference in me and the improvements, those aren't things that would have happened without Les, Tarek, and BJ.
Well, Les must be one proud papa, because girl, you doing it right now.
Well, thank you.
That will conclude this interview. Make sure you check out Mary this Sunday at Franklin, Ohio, against Sugar and Spice teammate Taylor Hendricks. Taylor's going to, and as much as I love Taylor, she's going to have her hands full, because that's your home crowd. That's your fellow Ohio people. And then, of course, this coming Tuesday, Jefferson, Indiana, against Kayla. Make sure you can go to one or both shows. They only do this once every few months, so get there while you can. One or both. I know football's on Sunday, but there's plenty of football down the road. Go check out Girlfight Wrestling at Franklin, Ohio, and go check out Girlfight at Jefferson, Indiana. Thank you again for your time, Mary, and I will see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This will conclude the interview.